just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. You're the new MC, you got the remix. Keep it on repeat, just let the beat kick. Everywhere you go, you bring the roof down. Everybody knows you got your own sound. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, yeah, you like it, the way you like it now. Yeah, you like it, the way you like it. Oh, so good, so fresh. Get up on your feet. Show me you got soul. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Just the way you like it. The way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.
Ladies and gentlemen, football fans of North Central Ohio, you are now entering the Friday Night Pigskin. So get strapped in, lay some tide and get right for big hits, top plays, and highlights. All coming your way from under the Friday Night Lights. The most exciting sounds and sights, gridiron action to serve your viewing delights. Let's go. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. He's at the 10, the 5, touchdown! Throws it over the middle and he gets absolutely sauced. Friday night lights. Get hype, it's Friday night. Friday night lights. Get hype, here we go now. Kuhn back to pass. Just three of the late linebacker comes across the middle, wide open. 20-10 touchdown Cougars. Second touchdown pass of the night by Hayden Kuhn, and it's to Carter Goon. The lights strobing here at Scott Bailey Memorial Field. The horns are a-honking. They can feel it here tonight.
Oh, and can you feel it here on this week 9 of high school football? We learned a lot tonight about the conference races, who's in, who's out for some of the postseason spots as well. So plenty to get to on a jam-packed edition of the Friday Night Pigskin. I am Brian Skoronsky, and a big thank you, of course, to Spherion Mid-Ohio for sponsoring the show. Lots of teams enter today, still feeling like they had an opportunity to get into the playoffs. We're going to tell you who had some big-time wins, who maybe even had some tough losses tonight. But there were 6 teams entering that were still undefeated in our coverage area. 2 of them played one another. It was the game of the year on paper. It turned out to be the game of the year in real life. If you didn't get a chance to go, if you haven't seen the highlights like me, I bet you can't wait to see these moving pictures from over at the new WW Skiles Field. Shane Young was over there. He was working the sidelines for Ontario at Shelby. 8-0 versus 8-0. for the conference championship. The two teams that won the league last year, they met. We put the over-under before you left tonight at 71.5 points, Shane. That's a ton, of course, for high school football. I took the slightly under. I was way off, pal. Awesome game.
And it was a very high-scoring game, back and forth mostly the whole game. It was just entertaining to watch, and I'm ready to see the highlights.
Me too. I can't wait.
So first off, Mason Vandenberg is going to start off the day in the first quarter. Little rushing touchdown. Now, Braden will throw a pick, and they'll run right back in with Mason Vandenberg. But the next drive for Shelby, Braden DeVito is going to take it himself, get a touchdown to put them on the board, but their field goal will be blocked. So they'll get the ball back. Braden is going to pass a huge play to Nick Eister for a big touchdown. They'll go for the 2-point conversion. They'll convert. It's 14-14 at the start of the second. Next, Jason Mayo, he will rush in 21-14. Ontario is up, but late with 5 seconds left, Braden DeVito will take it in, and they will get the 2-point conversion going up 22-21 at half. Then they'll come out their first drive in the third quarter. Braden's going to pass to Michael Shepard for the touchdown. Bodpin's going to come out and score another touchdown. It's 28-28. Braden DeVito, he's going to pass to Brady Bowman to make it 35-28 at the end of the third. Next, Bodpin Miller will take it in himself. He will tie it up 35-35 at the beginning of the fourth. Next, Braden DeVito, it was just his best night ever with another rushing touchdown. Watch this. Right after that score, the returners are going to act like it is a dead ball, and they don't go down on it, and Shelby's going to get the ball back. And then Braden DeVito will rush in, making the final 50-35. Braden DeVito had 4 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. He was lights out tonight. It was just an offensive show from both teams. Obviously, Shelby had a little more to show tonight.
How crazy that it finishes that way, and kind of unfortunate, I think, for high school football fans. Probably even Shelby fans wanted to see if Bodpin Miller and that offense could get the ball, drive down the score, and then match them and potentially force overtime. So I think obviously a tough way for that thing to end for Warrior Nation.
Yeah, when Shelby scored, they got the 2-point. They went up by 7, 43-35. So Ontario had an opportunity to go down and tie the ball game, but they took the kickoff as a dead ball for some reason. I've never seen that before, and it costed them.
But what we all anticipated was that the stars in this game, the 2 quarterbacks, the Ohio State commit, and then probably the future Division I commit in Braden DeVito, they shine brightest in the biggest moments, but especially Braden here tonight. Wow, what a performance by that kid on his home surface to go to 9-0.
Yeah, as a junior, 7 touchdowns. I got to vote him for the Fee nominee. I mean, dude, 4 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns against one of the best teams, second best team now in the Mohawk. Definitely crazy night for him. This is going to be something to look back on for Braden, especially because he's just a junior. He's going to be a sophomore next year, so we get a whole nother year with him. So, this kid, absolutely amazing, and he deserves to be the Fee nominee.
Yeah, I believe he's over 40 total touchdowns now on the year, and I saw a couple of tweets floating around about the fact that before the night began, he was in the conversation for Mr. Football. He might be near being one of the front runners now. They were the number 5 team in the state entering today, probably going to leapfrog at least one more team after this epic battle and putting 50 points on the board. So, okay, we know DeVito's a dog. He's been doing it since he was a freshman. He's a 3-year starter right now. He's going to break all the records at that school. What did you think about Ontario in this game? We've seen them so far throughout the course of the year. They've won a couple of tight battles. They've been tested at times. They started to get the offense really going. Tough way to lose the game, but would you say that you're more impressed with Ontario walking away than you were before the start of the night?
I'm about the same as I was with Ontario. Like, I know that they can move the ball very well. Bodpin Miller, he picked off Braden the first drive for Shelby. They went up 14-0. At that point, I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe Ontario runs away with this. Shelby picked it up. They made a huge comeback, and it was looking bright for Ontario. Braden ended up throwing another pick to Bodpin to make them go and score, make it 35-35. So I mean, it was looking really bright for Ontario, and they had a huge opportunity. And like I said, they fumbled it.
And just give me one last perspective about just what the atmosphere was like out there. I was getting a lot of text messages from people that were at the game. I'm still getting hounded and being told that I kind of messed up, dropped the ball by not showing up myself. So I'm a little bit envious of you, Shane, getting the opportunity to see that with your own eyes. All those total points, the two big stars, they shine the brightest. What was it like overall, collectively, that atmosphere? It's a good stadium no matter what, but how crazy was it tonight?
I mean, the student sections were crazy involved, just all the stands. It was packed tonight, by the way. All the bands were getting involved a lot. I mean, it was so loud in that stadium. I've never heard a high school stadium be so loud other than tonight. Like, it was like I was at some college game. Like, it was crazy. The atmosphere was absolutely nuts, and I loved it. It was just so much fun tonight.
Yeah, it looks like the 12th man really showed out, indicating of your cap, so you were really blending in there tonight, man. So glad that you got to see this and be a part of it. Your first year with the OH Report and already getting the big assignments. Nice job, Shane Young. Good stuff. Looking forward to seeing this full highlight. All right, so
Absolutely.
Shelby, obviously, they take a piece of the MOAC, but Ontario, they're still going to have a chance coming up this next week, because the Whippets, they've got to go on the road and take on Pleasant. Ontario gets to be at home, taking on Highland for their senior night. And obviously there's going to be a big farewell for Bodpin, Van Tilburg, and a lot of those other Warriors. But still some other teams in the MOAC trying to play their way into the tournament, including River Valley and Galion. And we had Keaton Cooper over in Caledonia tonight to take in this one. And it's two teams that were kind of, teeter-tottering. We've seen the Vikings. They put up a ton of points here, and then they'll have some weeks, too, where it kind of makes you scratch your head, and you're like, what's their problem? And then Galion, 3-year starter for them. They benched their quarterback. They've got some fresh new blood, and they were on the road tonight, and looked like they looked pretty good, man. This was a good game, too.
Yes, it was. You couldn't really ask for a crazier first half, and then, Galion kind of takes it away, and then you see River Valley. It's just such a weird dynamic with these two teams fighting, towards the end of the 9 weeks, and it's almost playoff time, and these two guys just fighting it out. It was a great game.
All right, let's roll these moving pictures and see how it played out.
Yes, so first we have Stockman putting the first points on the board with just a gritty run. And then you see River Valley fight back here with a 23-yard touchdown, tying it up 7-7 to Colton Yang. And boom, just that kid's got an arm on him. And then you see, you feel like River Valley might take this after a 3-and-out. We have a 37-yard field goal.
Bang.
And then Aiden and Chambers not going to let this go with after a fake punt that kept them in it for this drive to keep them going for this touchdown that I was about to get to. And you see it here, that fake punt resulted in this touchdown.
Ooh, mama.
A 30-yard bomb just perfectly placed. And then going into half, 14-13 after a 47-yard field goal, tying it up. And then we go into the third quarter here. Galion starts with it, and you see just a throw. You don't see that, benching your quarterback and seeing this type of play still.
Yes, sir.
A 60-yard touchdown to Jacob Chambers again. And then after a 3-and-out, Stockman gets his for a 26-yard rushing touchdown for Galion to make it 28-13. But River Valley says, I'm not out of this yet. Oh, but they are. Because Aiden running it for an 83-yarder. But he's not done because there's another one for him, 70 yards, making it 42-20 on senior night. But River Valley, they're down, they're hurting. But, you can't let the scoreboard look like 42-20. So they go down with like a minute 15 left. They get a pass to Chase Ebert, making it 42-27, get an onside kick, run it back. A 21-yard pass to Eli Snyder from Chase, making the final here 42-34.
So they make it look a little bit better on that final scoreboard, but this was really about Galion. And how about Aiden Schmidt? He's really re-energized this team. You've seen those explosive runs and a couple nice passes.
Yes, I mean, you really couldn't ask more for a guy who you just brought in 2 weeks ago and said, hey, we need something, we need a change, we need a fresh start, we need you. And he's here and he stepped up to the challenge. After a win last week, coming in again, and he's doing it in the air, he's doing it on the ground. You couldn't ask more from this kid.
Yeah, he was really putting up a lot of numbers here tonight. And well, what did it look like in terms of his command of the offense? Because they put up a lot of points on the board. Tough to make a change like that here mid-season for Galion, but it seems to be paying off right now for Coach Dick. Does it look like this youngster has what it takes to kind of lead this team into a nice little playoff run?
Yeah, so I even got to have an interview with him after the game, and then being on the sidelines, you can see a lot of the players respect him, they listen to him. That's what you kind of need in your quarterback. You need a leader. And he was out there, he was calling plays. They were making audibles. Everything that you'd want to see in a quarterback, he was out there doing it. You really couldn't ask for a better guy to lead the offense.
All right, River Valley, though, on the flip side of this, they battled back. Really gutsy performance playing at home. You kind of gloss over the fact that they kicked a 47-yard field goal. That's kind of uncommon. Yeah. That's 1 yard shy of my high school's all-time long, so that's pretty awesome. They have been kind of back and forth, seesaw all year for them. What was your overall take on River Valley and the Vikings here tonight, getting to see them on their home surface, senior night, last home game, and played with a lot of guts, but still weren't enough to take down the Tigers?
Yeah, so River Valley, they had a great start. I mean, they were out there. They had, there's a few takeaways that they had. They were putting Galion under pressure. They were making things happen. And then you feel like after the half, there was just a shift. They had the one touchdown in the second half at the beginning that made you think, okay, this is still going to be a close game. And then you see one just 83-yard rushing touchdown. That's demoralizing. And then, you get out there and it's a 3-and-out. And then you put your defense back out there to another 70-yard rushing touchdown. It's hard to keep your team, in high spirits and that they can still get out there and win it. So I feel like this River Valley team, that they still have so much potential and that they can still make a move in this playoffs if they can keep those huge big plays from happening, because I feel like they could have been in this game way more than what they were had they had a few more stops on defense or a few less turnovers.
So River Valley, they've already clinched a playoff spot. They travel over to Clear Fork, and amazingly, with just 3 wins, Clear Fork right now would be in the playoffs. So that one's really going to decide if the Colts are able to get in. They get that one at home on their senior night. Galion on the flip side, they also clinched the playoff spot and probably are going to be a big favorite. They get their senior night. Last game is at their place against 1-8 Harding. So MOAC, man, it's pretty loaded. It seems like just about everybody's going to be getting in with the exception of Harding. I have to look and see what Highland's perspectives are, but there's some really good football that was being played all across the conference. We thought that from top to bottom, this would be the best league that we've seen all year long, and this is the MOAC breakdown right now. Shelby has clinched at least a share. As mentioned, they still have to take care of business on the road and knock off Pleasant to have it outright, while Ontario, they'll have Highland, and they will be at home. And then a little bit of a jumble there as Galion's actually 6-3 overall on the year, so that they're a step above here of what River Valley is and should be 4-2 in the league right now. But other than that, just a lot of good football, I think, in this MOAC.
Yeah, for sure. And then you see, it's not going to be a great game, I don't think, but Galion can clinch a home game coming into this next week. So, I think they will. But
yeah, 3 straight losses for them, but you look at the competition, Shelby, Ontario, a head-scratcher, losing at Highland for them, but it was a really tight game. They just lost by 3 points. They bounced back in style, 31-10 last week, the win over Pleasant and now over River Valley. So I think the Tigers and Coach Dick is a team probably you don't want to run into here in the first round of the playoffs, especially if they get it over there at High Seat Park. Well, thank you, Mr. Cooper. Appreciate you bringing the action here tonight. Still another highlight coming up on this segment. We'll jump into some Firelands Conference play. I was over at Scott Bailey Memorial Field tonight. Crestview, too, another one of those teams, they've started to get the engine roaring in their favor. They started the year 0-4, but one of the most challenging non-conferences in anybody in Division 6. They played a couple of powerhouses, one team that's undefeated, another team with just one loss. Almost one play away from having their 4th straight victory coming into tonight, taking on Western Reserve, who's in 2nd place in the league. We'll show you how it all shook out. Cougars looking for their 5th straight win, though, in this rivalry against Western Reserve, hoping to keep their playoff hopes alive. A win tonight would be huge. And after a nice opening drive, Liam Kuhn finds Gavin Barker. He would skate in around a couple defenders, 20 yards. They would take an early lead. It's 7-zip. Second play from scrimmage now. Hayden Keith, he's going to scramble for a big first down, but he coughs it up. Lincoln Every would recover it for the Cougars. And just 3 plays later, Kuhn is going to throw it to a wide open Carter Goon, 53 yards into the end zone. All of a sudden, it's 14-zip early on in the first quarter. Very next offensive snap, Landon Weigel veers to the left. He coughs it up too, scooped up by Landon Fridges. The Cougars would be in business, but the Rough Riders would actually come up with a stop on 4th down. They would drive to the other end, and here's Keith catching the edge, his 27th total TD of the season, the most in the Firelands Conference. They'd get the 2-point conversion. It's 14-8. Ensuing Cougars possession, 4th down from the 9-yard line, and a dart thrown to Tyson Riegler. He's in there, and the guy in the black, he is loving life right there. Cougars, baby. All of a sudden, they got this offense flowing just over a minute to go before the half. Inside counter trap for Barker, his 2nd touchdown from 3 yards out. The student section enjoying that end zone view. Final seconds now before the break. Keith is going to lob it up, and Dylan Burgess picks him off. One of 3 interceptions that he would throw on the night. And we'll take you now. Last chance to make it a game. Keith rolling right. Comes back left, directing some traffic, and he throws it. But how about Ringler with a one-handed pick right at the goal line? He shuts the door right in the Rough Riders' face, 28-8. The Riders still haven't beaten Crestview and Olivsburg since 2012. So you just got to feel good, I think, right now for Crestview, because I think a lot of people were throwing a little bit of dirt on their grave after that 0-4 start, but I talked about just how challenging it was. 3 teams with a combined 4 losses in their non-conference, and then they have to play Monroeville, who's 9-0 right now, and just steamrolling the competition in their 4th game, and it's just like, man, what happened to the Cougars? Well, guess what? If not for a game-winning touchdown pass with just 26 seconds left last Saturday against St. Paul, they would have 5 straight victories. So they started climbing the ladder here in the Firelands Conference. We'll show you how this is starting to play out right now in the league. Monroeville, they clinched tonight. They're still undefeated, and they've got the championship, but they have to host St. Paul next Friday night. We will have that game for you guys live and free. That'll be for the whole enchilada. Can the Flyers get themselves a piece, or will Monroeville cap off an undefeated regular season? Crestview right now still in the mix. They're in the hunt too to get into the playoffs. They needed this victory tonight. They leapfrog, I think, like 4 or 5 teams. They're in the 15th spot. They will be at home next Friday night taking on a Mapleton team who's really been struggling as of late, with an opportunity to get into the postseason for a 6th straight season. And a big reason why my phenomeny from tonight, Mr. Hayden Kuhn, Liam Kuhn. I probably did that twice on the broadcast tonight. Older bro was pretty good too. Liam only had 5 touchdowns his entire season so far. Heading into this game, I talked to him after, and he was like, it definitely has not been what we were anticipating. Thought that we would be a lot better early on in the season offensively. All of these numbers came in the first half. He did not even attempt a pass in the last 2 quarters because they had that 20-point lead. The defense was having it going on. They were stopping Western Reserve, forced them into 5 turnovers. So he was a great game manager in that second half. He was smart, didn't throw an interception, and very worthy of being a FE nominee. Super happy for Liam Kuhn and what he was able to do. We had a lot of nominees, though, from last week for your phenoms, as well as a ton of top play contenders from week number 8. After a quick commercial timeout, when we come back, we will have those winners for you, along with all the KMAC games. We have video evidence of each of them, another team clinching a league championship tonight, plus a big game over at Mohawk, and plenty more still coming up live and free right here on the Friday Night Pigskin.
More than Crown. We are real people behind Crown of Dublin. Our service team is full of experts dedicated to providing your vehicle with care.
Using only premium parts and equipment, schedule an appointment with Crown CDJR today, the better way to service.
Welcome to Richland County's first artificial intelligence ATM. And if you car dance to the song you're listening to now, I will give you $50. That's something an ATM can never do.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope your day is a little bit better today.
Yes, thank you.
Instead of paying for some big-name spokesperson, Kasasa Checking gives that money back to you in cash rewards. In fact, you just bought me this cup of coffee. See how that works? Amazing! Free checking, cash rewards. Take back banking with Kasasa.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion.
This is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes, and you can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so the way you like it. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. You're the new MC, you got the remix. Keep it on repeat, just let the beat kick. Everywhere you go, you bring the roof down.
Since it's fall, I was driving back here to the studio and I saw all of the different leaves are starting to change. I want to stick with that theme and kind of roll back the clocks here as we're going to go all the way back to week number 8. A lot of nominees up for grabs. Here are your Friday night Phenom and Top Play winners. We'll begin with Mace Puckett of Carey coming off the edge and blocking a punt at Colonel Crawford to set up the go-ahead score. This was crucial in helping the Blue Devils jump to the top of the standings. Congratulations, Mace Puckett, the top play from week number 8. But when it came to the individual performances, this one came down to the wire. A lot of votes, but most of them coming in for this dude right here. Dominant on both sides of the ball was Cohen Becker, Northmor's senior running back / defensive back. 2 touchdowns and 2 takeaways. He does it all. He gets the student section rocking, and he continues to make his way onto our list because this guy's unbelievable. Congratulations for being a phenom. So fitting, I think, that he would end up winning this week 8 because Northmor is next up on our agenda of things to check out and back over at the castle, which is kind of a mainstay for Mr. Travis Berardi. He loves it over there. But Travis, I understand that you wanted to kind of put me on the spot with something before you get into your segment.
How old were you in 1982?
Not quite around yet.
I was
Actually, none of my
-6.
siblings, my mom, I believe, was a junior in high school.
Okay, I was -6 years old. Just take a guess. Do you know what the top movie of 1982 was? It involved an alien.
I think
Adam Thompson, keep your mouth shut over there. I'm asking Brian. He said E.T. though. That's
should
right.
I phone home on this one?
Yeah, phone home. Yeah. You know what the top song was? It was from one of the Rocky movies. Adam, you cannot say anything. You're probably listening to me anyway.
No. The Eye of the Tiger?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And you know what else happened in 1982? It was the last time Northmor won a conference championship, as I welcome in Jonathan Langdon as well here into the KMAC corner.
1982.
You weren't even,
were your parents alive?
Were your parents alive at least?
Barely.
Barely? Anyway, so the castle, not only was it senior night tonight at the castle, but also the Golden Knights had a chance to do something that not many teams at Northmor had to do. They only won 3 conference championships, and like I said, 1982 was the last time they were able to accomplish that. So let's get right to the highlights. After a 3-and-out, Northmor right at it. A.J. Bauer doing A.J. Bauer things. Rolls to his left, throws a dime on the run to Jack Swenger wide open. 52 yards, 7-0 like that. 2 possessions later for Northmor, up 14-0. Bauer with so much time looks to big play Bo Landon doing some toe drag swag, 15 yards. It's 21-0.
Shout out to the big boys.
Time running out in the half. Journey Williamson rolling out, and he will give it a old heave-ho down the field, and Wenger picks off the lame duck, and he's got himself a convoy in front of him, heads all the way to the Northmor sideline and thinks, you know what, I'm just going to go to the other sideline.
This feels like a police escort.
Reverses field, yeah, avoiding tacklers, and he's going to go to the house. He went about 150 yards to go 83, 28-0. After a Pirate fumble, Wenger is going to make himself another fantastic play, makes the tough catch in traffic, breaks a tackle, and he's going to score again. 35-0 Northmor with its 6th running clock of the season, and they have clinched their first conference championship since 1982. They win it 49-6. Unbelievable season thus far for the Northmor Golden Knights, and the boys, they're just getting started, Jonathan.
Yeah, fantastic game for them. I saw 49-0 last, so I guess Cardington tacked one on there at the end.
Yeah,
But
they
you could
scored
kinda just
as
see-
the clock ran out, actually. Williamson with a keeper right as time ran out to make
And
it
I think I saw in that
49-6.
last touchdown with Landon, it's just the life was sucked out of that student section by that time. Probably far before that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Just great game from Northmor. They're going to get another good chance to finish things off against Loudonville to go 10-0.
Yes, they will. And I had so many big plays that I could have chosen for a top play nominee, but it has to be the one, the only, Jack Swenger. You know, he was out a couple weeks with injuries, but let's show you my top play nominee for the Golden Knights, Jack Swenger, an 82-yard pick six. He told me while he was still out with the injury after the appendectomy, I just want to play. I just want to play. Well, he's made the most of it. I mean, look at this. He looks like he has not missed a beat. Jukes one way, avoids a tackler, keeps running, and that's all he did tonight. 3 touchdowns, 2 offensively, 1 on the defensive side. He'll probably be my fee nominee as well when we get into Monday. But Jack Swenger, he just completes that offense and that defense for Northmor.
Yeah, when I saw Northmor, he wasn't playing. And so I haven't seen Jax play at all, but I just know that the impact he's had, especially when they've gotten some bigger wins against bigger opponents. Like I think of that Danville 41-6 game. So Northmor is just a completely different team when they've got all 3 of their weapons, and once they all get clicking, and they are starting to click now. Once they get into playoff time, if all 3 of them can contribute and help out their quarterback, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and since Scott Armros became the head coach, things have just been going up and up. They've made playoff appearances all but 1 year since 2017, but they were just missing out on that one thing, and that was a conference championship. And I got the chance to talk to Coach Armros after my MVP interview, which included all of the seniors, which was pretty cool. But I got to catch up with Coach Armros after the game. This is what he had to say. So we'll get that audio fixed on there, but Coach Armros just, really excited. He's a guy that, doesn't look forward to the future. I did ask him after the interview about, you guys pretty much have 2 home games locked. He said, we still got to beat Loudonville first to finish the regular season, but every player that he has on that team just contributes this year.
And I think it's just hard for a team when you make history like this to really look forward, because you're kind of just living in the moment that you're in right now, because you just won your first conference championship since 1982. Why would you look ahead to the playoffs? Because you're in such a big sort of momentum swing for your program. And I don't know, just next week they'll take on Loudonville and they'll just take it one step at a time, enjoy the ride.
Well, we got the audio fixed, so now here is that interview with Coach Scott Armros.
Scott, congratulations. Take me back to 2017. You have a core group, Michi Johnson, players like that led you to your first playoff appearance, a 9-0 record, just missed out on the KMAC title. Year in and year out since then, except for 1 year, you made the playoffs, but you just so close to getting a KMAC championship. Now you finally have it. I know it's a share right now, but you can get it outright. Doesn't matter, though. You get that number up there. Just what's the feeling going through your head knowing finally we got that up there?
I didn't doubt it to start the season. These young men standing behind me, we see the results on Friday nights of what they do, but what you didn't see behind the scenes is all the work that went into that. And I'm so proud of these guys and this coaching staff and all the hard work that they've put in. It's not easy to be 9-0. It's not easy to win a conference championship. Heck, it's been over 40 years. But mostly what I'm feeling right now is just pride, how proud I am of these guys and how hard they've worked, and our coaching staff, how much work they've put in.
And how proud of you are of this group of seniors, because every year in and year out, they've been getting more and more accolades. The winningest senior class in the history of the school. Last year making it the furthest you've gone, the most wins you've had, and now a chance next week, the first 10-0 season ever.
Yeah, and we kind of put a challenge on these guys in December. We knew how much talent we were going to have back, and we knew what a good football team we could be. But we challenged them to let's do some things in the offseason we've never done before. Let's work harder than we've ever worked before, and let's see what we can accomplish. And we're starting to see the results of that right now. So these guys put in a ton of hard work, and everything that they've accomplished to this point this season, they've earned.
So the Golden Knights, one of only 5 remaining undefeated teams here in the area, state ranked number 6. They have clinched 2 home games. They currently sit atop Division 6 Region 23. However, Grandview Heights, they play a Division 3 team next week that is 0-9, so that could flip-flop. But no matter what, the Golden Knights will be at the Castle for the first 2 rounds if they can win their first round, and they're going to be looking good. One of the favorites to actually win their first ever regional title. Another team that's looking like they want to play for a regional championship. The Danville Blue Devils, a couple losses on the season, but still, they're playing their best football at the right time, Jonathan.
Yeah, I was talking about the KMAC champions of yesteryear. Danville Blue Devils taking on the Fredericktown Freddies at their home, Tough Street Stadium, a place they haven't lost since 2022. Let's roll the clips. So let's go ahead and start here with just talking about senior night. These guys want to send their older folks on the team home with a win. And Fredericktown, they didn't make that easy. They're going to strike first here. Gavin Toombs on a 21-yard touchdown catch from his quarterback, Blake Sipes. 2 juniors that are going to make some noise next year for sure. And now let's talk about a freshman who's going to make some noise even further into the future. Siren Wallace scores his first career touchdown, a 16-yarder right there. Sipes, though, would respond to give Fredericktown the lead. That's where it would sit.
Leading rushers.
Yeah, 4th in rushing in our area. So that would send us to a 14-7 score at the half. Fredericktown with the lead, but Danville responded in a big way. That was a play that looked very similar to what he had last week as a top play, but this time he doesn't reverse field. He takes it in for the 3-yard score. So they go for 2 there. They take the lead. Up 1 here, and this is the turning point because Sipes on 4th and 13 cannot convert. Lucas got in there and deflected the ball. Very next play, Siren Wallace, 63 yards to the house, showing flashes.
Looks the speed.
Yes, showing flashes of what this team can become in the future. I don't think you see very many Danville running backs with that much speed, so that is very scary for sure for this Blue Devil team. And then also the quarterback, Jacob Hackman, putting a bow on it. 31-14 would be the final. They score here with 5 minutes to go. Big win for them, 24 unanswered in the second half. And you're going to see at the end here, Coach Bloom just tapping up his seniors as they're going to get to play back at Tough Street Stadium again. But still, on a senior night, it's a special moment for these guys. And a big win for Danville.
Well, not only for 1 week, but they do clinch at least 2, and they still have a chance at a number 1 seed. But I want to talk about Cyrus a little bit. We talk about Aiden Burke. He's a really good running back. He's one of the tops in the KMAC and in the area in the top 15. But then you have this little addition that could help Danville down the road.
Yeah, Coach Bloom told me that he's kind of just been getting eased into the system. It's hard to throw a bunch of the freshmen's plate, but gives them a nice changeup offensively. I kind of called him the yin to Aiden Burke's yang because they're just 2 completely different running backs, but they do different things. Burke was kind of getting walled up there at the beginning by Fredericktown just because his size, he wasn't able to get around. They were kind of running him up the middle, but then they got Wallace on the outside, and he was able to find some speed. Just his agility to go with the toughness that Burke brings is kind of an interesting dynamic, having both of those guys kind of getting touches for you in the backfield.
Yeah, so next week, Devil Dog. East Knox desperately needs a victory to have a chance at anything in the playoffs. Fredericktown, Freddyburg, they control their own destiny. A win over Centerburg probably gives them a chance to get into the postseason. But for Fredericktown right now, how do they respond from this?
Yeah, Fredericktown, I think their response is just going to be to beat Centerburg next week. They didn't have Brody Davis in this game. Brody Davis in this game, and he was not able to play. He was sick today. So they had to bring in a couple of replacements, and that was definitely missing from this Fredericktown team. But get him back next week, get to take on Trevin Harris and the Centerburg Trojans. They'll be on the road, though. That'll be a tough one for them, but I joked with Jardy during the broadcast that I think they could just put 6'5" Gavin Toombs in that elevated hill in the end zone, probably just throw it up to him for a couple touchdowns.
A little extra elevation to the elevation of Toombs, right?
That's an easy 2 touchdowns for Fredericktown, so a good start for them.
Now, you also had a top play for this game, did you not?
Yeah, I had a top play for Wallace, who we just talked about, that 63. Actually, no, this is going to be the Fredericktown interception, a one-handed catch.
Oh, wow.
from number 22, that was Carter Mull, the senior. I had 2 top plays for this. So we'll get to Wallace next week for our top plays. But got to give credit to the Fredericktown Freddies. Good game from them, even though it fell apart there offensively in the second half. The defense played pretty well. Carter Mull with the interception. That was his third interception of the season.
Wow. And like we said, Fredericktown, they will be taking on Centerburg in the Freddie Berg matchup. And this is where I welcome in Bryce Coder, who was calling that East Knox at Centerburg game. Bryce, sir, do you have a good one or do you have a blowout?
Oh, it was a blowout, but definitely an entertaining one from the very get-go. The ambiance was great. Centerburg definitely showing out for their home team as they do. East Knox doing the same on the visitor side. A gorgeous night, something I haven't been able to say in the past few games that I've been able to cover Centerburg. It's been really rainy, a mud bowl. But really great game tonight, I think, for Centerburg. A lot to take away from it. Go ahead and roll the clips. And so first and foremost, I'd like to formally welcome you to the Miles Marshall Show. Just 20 seconds into the first quarter, he secures himself a 38-yard rushing touchdown to put him up 7-0 over East Knox. And then 9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining here in the first quarter, taking almost no time at all, goes even longer, decides he wants to go for a 61-yard rushing touchdown. And then just to top it all off, just because he can, again in the first quarter, 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, he rushes for an 86-yard touchdown overall in the game. He had over 300 rushing yards. And then to top things off, once and for all, at the beginning of the second quarter, he rushes for a 44-yard touchdown. Something to note later on in that game, we'll talk about it. Blake Elliott, though, able to convert a big opportunity, a couple of big penalties, put him within goal range, and then they ended up converting on a first-and-goal situation from the 1-yard line. But Blaine Ball putting the team on his back from the offensive front. The quarterback scoots into the end zone for a touchdown. Then to cap things off here, to give us that precious running clock, Chris Marshall bashes his way into the end zone for a 5-yard rushing touchdown. So the Marshall brothers responsible for 5 touchdowns. Something to note, though, is Miles Marshall in that fourth quarter. There was a play. It was hard to see, but he did make contact apparently with the post along the sideline. He wasn't able to make it to the sideline, his own sideline on his own weight. He needed help with that. However, they did treat him with ice, and he ended up making his way up, funnily enough, up the stairs to do his MVP interview after the game.
Yeah, now goes to my first question. How important is the law firm of Marshall & Marshall for Centerburg this season as they move on, because they have clinched a playoff spot with that victory tonight?
Well, I think with Miles Marshall, I mean, obviously it's going to be the rushing game for him. He's got over 20 rushing touchdowns on the season already and approaching that 1,000-yard rushing mark. He's very versatile. He's able to catch the ball in the backfield as well. That's also where Chris Marshall plays a really important role as well, as a lot of times these defenses can really fixate in on Miles Marshall and have some success in clogging up some of the holes. But where they've found success outside of that is looking in the flat in a lot of these passes, a lot of these screen passes to the wide receiver, and they've found really good chunks of yardage, 10, 13, 15, 20 yardage out of guys like Chris Marshall who have really stepped up for him.
Then on the other side of things, East Knox, they needed that win to give themselves the control of their own destiny to get into the playoffs, maybe even clinch a playoff spot. They still have a chance. They're sitting 18th right now. They need a couple teams to lose, and if they beat Danville, a lot of playoff points. But what can East Knox build off of from tonight that they can use next week in Devil Dog when they need the win to get in?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had a few good drives in there that they could be proud of. They had a few really good defensive stops as well. There are actually 3 turnovers on downs that they forced against Centerburg, so a bright spot there. And I really feel like with a rivalry as big as this one between East Knox and Danville, it can really be one of those games where maybe East Knox isn't having the best season, but they find that motivation in Week 10 to be able to propel themselves over in an upset. So we'll see.
All right, Bryce. Another good call for you. Look forward to. Do you know where you're going to be at next week?
I have the Freddie Berg.
Fredericktown. So, I mean, get yourself prepared. That's an amazing atmosphere they have down there for that. I will be at Devil Dog. First time I'll be calling that game. So we have 2 big games with playoff implications still left over in Week 10. But thank you very much, Bryce, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
All right, last game of the night in the KMAC. Mount Gilead, another team that very, very big effort against Northmor. Nearly pulled off the major upset to get them into the postseason, but 2 points short, lost 16-14. Heck of an effort, though, for Coach Reed's squad. They have a little bit of hope, though, as they needed to win tonight and next week and get some help to get in. Did they get that win over Loudonville? Let's go to the highlights right now. First quarter, Cole Fricky, the quarterback, is going to keep it for this rushing squad. A 3-yard rush right off the bat. They are up 6-0. Then after a 3-and-out, I mean, everybody's got the lights now, Jonathan.
Gotta love it.
I mean, it's so much fun out there. Cam Vickers, in the second quarter, after it's 6-0 in the first, he takes it in, makes it 14-0. Loudonville, though, they are going to go on a drive. 4th and goal. Rolling out, looking, but he's going to be stopped just short, bent backwards at the goal line. Mount Gilead holds. It remains 14-0. Then later in the quarter, Carson Trainer, I mean, he ran all over Northmor, but he can catch as well. 51-yard touchdown reception. Ain't no one going to touch him. It's 22-0. And then with just time running out in the half, Wyatt Long is going to catch one. Long distance. This is going to be a 20-yard pass back the other way from Fricky. What a pass by him. It's 30-0 at halftime. Cue the running clock. Head to the second quarter, though. Mount Gilead not done yet. Elliott Jones from 32 yards out makes it 36-0. And then the Indians are going to finish the scoring as Wyatt Long, once again, he had a reception. Well, this time he's going to run it in from 13 yards off the corner. Mount Gilead does get a big win to stay in the playoff race, 43-0. And Jonathan, they're staying alive like the song, but barely, because they sit right now 21st in D6 Region 23, and they need a lot of help.
Well, I'll tell you what, they should be thanking Grove City Christian because they took care of them.
Bonus points.
Week 3, big bonus points, because I think they're second right now in the region, unless that changed. But it seems like in those highlights, it seems like every single weapon that Mount Gilead has was able to find pay dirt. So you had Jones there at the end. Also,
you had Long, Jones, Trainer, Vickers, and even Fricky.
Yeah, and this is just a team that was long overdue for a win in the KMAC, I think, just because they're much better than their record shows. And if they do make that, if they do make the playoffs, watch out if you're playing them, because that is a scary matchup, especially with the run defense that they have that I've talked about all season long. I just think that this team, that record right there, 3-6, I think it could easily be 5-4.
Couple games they let slip away late. But Cam Vickers, congratulations to him also. He went 14 rushes, 104 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a 2-point conversion, but he went over 1,000 yards for the season. So congratulations to Vickers. And now let us go over the KMAC standings. And gotta love the asterisk next to the Golden Knights. That means you have clinched at least a share of the KMAC championship. They're still partying down in North Bloomfield Township. I know Ken Parrott's somewhere partying it up with the folks. 9-0, 6-0. Danville, though, they are now in the driver's seat for that second spot. They've already clinched 2 home games, but can they be the #1 overall seed if they beat East Knox? That will happen, but if East Knox can somehow pull off the victory, the winner of Fredericktown will then tie Danville for second place. But you got Northmor, you got Danville, you got Centerburg already locked in. Fredericktown, I believe, is close as well. And then you got a couple teams on the outside barely looking in East Knox and Mount Gilead. So very competitive football coming up in Week 10.
I got to give credit to the Danville Blue Devils. They have had 2 consecutive weeks basically with second place games. If you win, you stick in second.
Same with Northmor during the middle of the season. Now it's Danville in the second half of the season.
Yeah, because Danville has stood their ground. Those 2 teams they just played, Fredericktown and Centerburg, they shut out Centerburg. And then you saw how Centerburg responded against East Knox. So this Danville team defensively has been really good, especially in that second half against Fredericktown. They shut them out there as well. The Blue Devils have stood up to every single test that they've faced, and now they've got East Knox, a team that's kind of on the downslide, but you throw the records out the window, it's Devil Dog.
Absolutely. Brian, you've called a couple Devil Dog matchups. What should I look forward to come Friday night 1 week from now?
The atmosphere is unlike any that I have been to. The way that they surround the fences, how people are somewhat cordial with one another there, but at the same time, you know that they just want to feast on the opposing fan base's flesh the entire time. It almost feels like it's a Mike Tyson fight, man. Like there's a lot of buildup going into that thing. There's going to be some tailgate parties, and of course, there's going to be some hard-hitting football out there. Last year in the Mud Bowl, one of the greatest games that we've had in the history of OH Report. It's one of the most viewed games of all time, and how could it not be? Crazy plays, one after another. So even though Danville, I think, will be going in with tons of momentum and East Knox totally going the other way, I guarantee that this is going to be a tight game in the second half. You can book it, man.
I cannot wait. Throw the records out, but you know, a record that you can look at right now is the undefeated record that the Hillsdale Falcons have. Ski, I'm going to throw it to you for their highlight.
That's right. They were looking to go to 9-0 tonight. Rittman was a team that they got off to a great start. 3-0 in the non-conference. Hasn't been quite as impressive since they got into the WCAL season. Just a victory for them. But playing at home tonight, and it was senior night for Rittman. And I've got the highlights to show you how it all played out. There are the Falcons coming in, and they're like, hey, man, let's spoil senior night. We would love to go to 9-0, and they would get off to a fast start. 9 minutes left here in the first quarter, and Cale Lewis to Hayden McFadden. Half the football field on the connection, 7-zip, and legit. The exact same play happened with 4 minutes left in the first. And this is not a replay, folks. 50-yard touchdown pass from Lewis to McFadden again, 14-0. Final 2 minutes of the first quarter, Owen Sloan is going to make his first appearance in the end zone. A big 62-yard rush to the outside as he gets by the final defender. It's 21-zip. Just 40 seconds later, Rittman ball. They're going to go with a weird-looking pass, and it's picked off, of course. It's McFadden again from the 30-yard line, and he's going to take this baby all the way back, reversing field, in for 6, 28-zip Hillsdale. Only touchdown in the second quarter was this 9-yard rush by Sloan to end the first half with the Falcons out in front by a score of 35-0. Brock Bauer then enforced a running clock. 18-yard rushing touchdown in the third. It's 42 and a goose egg on the other side. Rittman did get on the board with 2 minutes left in the fourth. 14-yard rush by a freshman, Vincent Sonego. And I mean, just having too much fun, right? When you're undefeated, you can put on victory chains. You can have a good time with your boys. How could you not? Well, what a great performance by McFadden and the gang and Brock Bowers, and great two-way players all the way across the board. Hillsdale, of course, they're undefeated for a reason. State ranked right now, getting a lot of respect out there in Division 7. But yes, sir, I see that you have your hand up over in the corner.
They're number 4 in the state, and
very trying to get my attention with, hey,
back in the top 3. They were a top 3 team, dropped the 4th this week, but back to the top 3. And this team, I mean, you lucky guy. I get
me?
Devil Dog. You get Hillsdale Norwayne for the WCAL championship next week, and that should be. I mean, we could have many instant classic games coming up next week with you having the Hillsdale Falcons in Norwayne.
Yeah, we're going to look at those WCAL standings in just a second, Travis, but selfishly, there were so many great plays. I got to put one up for a top play nominee. And across your body, always a dangerous throw, but especially when there's Falcons on the loose. Come on, baby, you know they're birds of prey. McFadden feasting, taking it back to the crib. He probably will be up for at least one other top play. Yet that one looked so similar that maybe I could pass it off as just one, the 2 50-yard touchdown receptions. This guy, for a junior, he has had a come-out party. Look for him to be in the conversation for first team All-Ohio. But this is how it's all shaken out, folks. That's right. Since week 1, undefeated is that team that is lurking right there in Norwayne. Their only loss against St. Clairsville on the road, a team that's 9-0.
Yep.
Really, really good. They're state ranked near the top of the charts right now in Division 4. They're going to battle it out for the right to be undisputed champions. That's what makes it so much fun when you're in week 10 and you both have the same record. Somebody's going to be real happy. The other team's going to walk away a loser with a couple of tears in their eyes. The Falcons, though, get that one at home, baby, where, of course, they're undefeated all the way across the board. But salivating for this one. We've kind of been calling for it. We've been talking about it ever since we saw Norwayne take care of Downton a couple of weeks back. You were like, okay, now we can start thinking about this competition. 14 points or less allowed by Norwayne in every single WCAL game. It's basically been the exact same thing for Hillsdale outside of that classic that they played with Downton. So it's going to be the two best teams in the conference going head-to-head. Hillsdale already owns one home game if they win. My anticipation as I look at Region 25 and Division 7, right now they're number 2. They'll probably leapfrog to the top spot because there's going to be so many bonus points up for grabs, and they will, of course, they'll be the number 1 seed.
I'm pretty sure they're going to clinch 2 home games no matter what at that beautiful facility they have. But, yeah, a win next week, you got to think they will be the number 1 seed, and that might be a good thing because then they would possibly avoid Monroeville, who's sitting right behind them. And there's a couple regions where we're like, we got some really good teams that maybe we could see in a regional championship. I'm thinking way down the line, folks, but we're allowed to. We're media. Coach is going to yell at me about this right now. But Hillsdale win next week would not only make them the favorites in their region, but it would give them some room over some really other good teams.
And a chance for them to get another rematch with Lucas potentially in that first round, a team that they slaughtered earlier on in the season over in Cubs country. But that's kind of been a great back and forth in that rivalry, but who knows? A lot's going to be determined next week, but right now the Falcons, they're in the driver's seat, and they are sitting pretty with a ginormous Week 10 matchup coming up. Just one more conference to get to, and this was the biggest game of the night, of course, in the Northern 10. Mohawk stunned last week. They had been on an absolute tear since losing against Calvert in Week 1, I think by just 1 point, if memory serves. They've been running off a whole bunch of victories, and then all of a sudden they score 6 points at home on homecoming night and a loss to Upper Sandusky. Could they bounce back against the beasts of the Northern 10, the Carey Blue Devils, who have won 3 consecutive chips? Looking for another one. They hosted them tonight. I've got some highlights. They had the band. The band is on the field. They were clear. They would let them play. But Ben Bogner right away, he goes to Caleb Bish, 24-yard connection. Mohawks in business, baby. Here comes Bish again. This time they'll just hand it to him. 8-yard tutty in the second. It's 14-0. But Eli, the steam train, from 2 yards out, pulls them back within a score. Mohawk, though, at home, they would answer the phone on the first ring. Late in the third quarter, it's Bogner to the edge. He's trucking dudes. 15 yards, 21-7, he reaches in. But Carey, baby, never say die. About 8 minutes later, plenty of time left for a Blue Devils comeback. Steen in again for a short touchdown, but this would ice the Devils. 29 yards for Kane Heyman. As he reaches for the zone, he would break the pylon. 27-14 Warriors. They seal the victory. They will move to the top of the Northern 10 standings. You gotta love what a gutsy performance this was by Mohawk. Psychologically, they could not have been coming into this game feeling very good about the fact that the next team on the schedule was the Carey Blue Devils, a team that has flat out owned them in Northern 10 conference play. Jory, do you know when the last time they actually beat Carey was? I don't think it was 1982. That's what she told me. I don't think that's
that was
a fact.
Northmor
But
in
it's
the conference
definitely, it's been a long while. So the Warriors, they're sitting not alone at the top of the standings. There's another team tied with them. Let's show you what's going on in the Northern 10. And how good is Week 10 going to be? Because you see those two teams tied for first place, Travis and Jonathan?
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? They get to play each other, and they get to determine an outright champion as well.
It just keeps getting better.
The Warriors going to be traveling over to Attica and taking on Seneca East, who just absolutely mollywops Bucyrus. And no disrespect to Bucyrus, but that's been happening to them a bunch this season. 59-6 a winner. The Tigers and Warriors will decide it all next week. Football's good, isn't it?
Gotta love football. I mean, come on. I mean, the schedule makers, you know, they knew. They knew the script right here, knowing that these games would come back to a winner-take-all. We have multiple winner-take-all. We had a winner-take-all pretty much in the MOAC this week, and we got 2 more conferences that are going to be determined next week. A lot of playoff points, a lot of playoff ratings going to be up for grabs. But just, I love this time of the year. I love playoff time even better. But the Week 10, you get nervous once again because you never know what could happen. Big upsets. You know, things like that happening. But Brian, can't wait. Just like that interview from that New York Jet before he lost to the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. Can't wait.
This is Bart Scott.
Bart Scott,
He's
yes.
great on TV now.
It's a great meme.
I had to look forward, and I feel like we have done a disservice. We did not anticipate Mohawk Seneca East really mattering a whole lot in Week 10. It's currently not on our broadcast schedule.
It should.
We've got 8 other live streams. I don't know if we have the capabilities of doing 9, but we will find somebody that can cover that game. It will happen. We'll have that for you guys somehow, some way in Week 10. You know what else we're gonna have? How about a party? How about a party?
Kind of a sad party, though.
I don't. Oh no! Can we have a party with tears? I guess it's his party, and we'll cry if we want to.
Classy!
No, say it ain't so. Let's not talk tribe. We'll talk football with Andy Jardy next.
More than Crown. We are real people behind Crown of Dublin. Our service team is full of experts dedicated to providing your vehicle with care.
Using only premium parts and equipment, schedule an appointment with Crown CDJR today. The better way to service.
Welcome to Richland County's first artificial intelligence ATM. If you car dance to the song you're listening to now, I will give you $50. See, that's something an ATM can never do.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope your day is a little bit better today.
Yes, thank you.
Instead of paying for some big-name spokesperson, Kasasa Checking gives that money back to you in cash rewards. In fact, you just bought me this cup of coffee. See how that works? Amazing! Free checking, cash rewards. Take back banking with Kasasa.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion.
Hey Andy, how you doing, pal? You hanging in there?
I've been better. I'll say that much. I've definitely been better. I'm just sad. I'm just sad. But you know what? Try and get through this. It's all for the kids. High school football. We'll dive into happier things and not, the just depressing thing that happened at the ballpark here. Yeah.
I gotta give you credit, Jardy, that you sported the Guardians to the game today as well. He didn't just throw that on; he had that on in Danville.
No. This was the attire today. Yeah. You gotta rep them while you can. We're still playing baseball here on October 19th, and
I almost broke part of the set when they tied the game up late. I slid my chair back. I almost broke another chair. I almost broke a chair at Poncho's Tacos last night for the walk-off home run, and I slid the chair back. Almost broke the OH Report helmet back here, but
October
Class
baseball
A.
is dangerous.
What's up with
Travis
Class
and
A?
James.
Let's go. Let's party, Jardy.
Well,
Let's party.
hey, real fast, Andy, because you're always coming with fun facts for me. So on the OH Report tonight, we had 477 total points scored. Do you think home team scored over or under 300 of those points?
I'll just, life's too short to bet unders, so let's take the over.
Hey, look, this man's a winner now. You know what? Don't let the Guardians get you down. 309 scored by home teams tonight, including 50 by the Shelby Whippet. So we got a party back, baby. That's right. Okay,
Let's
my
go.
energy's flowing again. You got to tell me. It was a big game, right, tonight up in Maria Stein, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't heard, I haven't seen. I've done my best to avoid their score on Twitter. Did Marion Local get tested tonight?
Tested, absolutely. They won 21-0 against Minster, who was ranked 3rd in the state. So that's now 57 straight wins. That will tie St. John's for the longest streak in OHSAA history. So they have a chance to do it next week. And you want to talk about Week 10 matchups? They play Coldwater next week, who is also undefeated. So that should be an incredible game. If they win, they'll have the record for the longest winning streak in OHSAA history with 58. But tonight they get 57, which ties it. So kudos to Marion Local. Going to continue to just follow that winning streak as long as it goes. I know, obviously, we led the show off with it tonight, but Shelby, just an incredible win tonight over Ontario. I can't remember last week who I picked. I think I took Ontario, so I'm pretty sure I
We
lost
all did. We're a bunch of
It
dummies.
was the Clates. That's right.
So you knew it was going to happen.
Bulletin board material. Yeah, absolutely. I did get St. Paul correct, though, with their win last Saturday in a nail-biter over Crestview. But, yeah, so Norwalk St. Paul also tonight. They were tested by South Central. Close game. Late, though, they pulled it off, and now that sets up another intriguing Week 10 matchup with Monroeville next week for a share of the Firelands Conference. It just 0-3 starts, becoming the norm for St. Paul, and then finding a way to be in the mix there at the end of the season. And then, obviously, we lost one of our undefeated teams with Ontario. Someone had to lose tonight, but Northmor, Shelby, Hillsdale, Ashland, Monroeville are all 9-0 as we go into Week 10.
Really cool, the fact that that many teams all can cap off an undefeated regular season. It doesn't happen that often, and especially in some of the conferences that those teams play in. Now, the biggest test comes for Hillsdale, of course, next. That's a big one. Same for Ashland, too, when you look at Lexington is the next on their schedule. And Minutemen are still undefeated, right, in OCC play? So
one loss. They lost last
4-1.
week, but
that's right.
They can still play for a tie.
That's right. So they at least
had.
Now, did you see what Ashland's quarterback did last week?
He threw for 8 touchdowns.
I did not, no.
I don't know if he threw for 8, but he had 8 total.
I think it was 8 total, yeah.
I think 4 rushing and 4 passing. I've heard of 7 a bunch of times. Of course, with Braden DeVito, we had the highlight here. I'm not so sure I've heard of 8 total before, Andy. That's a snowman. That's a lot.
That is a snowman or an octopus, whatever you want to call it. That's an incredible performance there. Yeah, and now they've got a game with Lexington, who dramatic win tonight over Madison, scored on a screen pass with like 12 seconds to go to win it, 14-7. So the Minutemen have found something this year. It's been an interesting year in the OCC, and it hasn't looked pretty for Lexington at times, but here they are, with a chance in Week 10, and that's all you can ask for.
It felt like when I did see them against Clear Fork, like they had too many dudes to not figure it out eventually. They had some great pieces that just were not fitting together. So it's not surprising to me at all, the fact that that's going to determine the OCC. Ashland, though, already my pick to win the conference has already done so through 9 weeks. That's right. Thank you. But some really fun games coming up in Week 10, Andy. But let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about some dandies, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's get into Andy's dandies here for all of you. And I am going to start, as always, with the game that I was at tonight. And I called him the custodian, Aiden Burke of Danville, doing all of the dirty work, getting none of the reward for it. He had 13 carries and 88 yards tonight. He, like I told John on the call, he's like the guy that struggles to get the jar open, and then you hand it to someone else and they get it immediately because it's been loosened up. He loosened up that Fredericktown defense for Siren Wallace to just run through unscathed. So, Aiden Burke, I see you. I saw your performance tonight. Well done, sir. And a big win on senior night there. Talked about St. Paul a little bit, but Nick Poco's back, or Pocus, excuse me. He returned from injury after missing the last 3 weeks. and all he did was have 9 carries, 131 yards, and a touchdown for St. Paul, as they were tested by South Central, but now they've got a chance next week if they can beat Monroeville for a share of the Firelands Conference. I mean, you can't not mention Braden DeVito and his 7 touchdowns for Shelby tonight. I mean, that is as dandy of a performance as you can have. Monroeville, they had tweeted out a graphic, and the graphic was wrong, but Jonathan and I were both blown away because it said that Monroeville led like 56-0 after the first quarter. That was the halftime score. So still impressive, but we were trying to mathematically figure out how they could put up 56 points in 12 minutes. Turns out it's actually not doable, at least as far as we know. But they now have 5 straight shutouts. And so they are, we were talking about the undefeated teams and how crazy it is to have them this late in the season, this many. I think the thing that's even crazier is just how dominant all of them have been, too, because a lot of these games, I mean, Monroeville now, 5 straight shutouts. Ashland's been blowing people out. Hillsdale's offense appears unstoppable. Northmor games are typically over by halftime, and Shelby just cannot be stopped. So these are some of the best teams I think we've seen in quite some time here. And watch out for Danville, too, in that region, too, to make a little bit of a
Very
run.
favorable.
And then my final dandy of the night goes to Bellefontaine's quarterback, Tavian St. Clair, who became the 13th player in OHS, or Ohio high school football history, to throw 100-plus touchdown passes for his career. He threw 3 of them tonight, so hats off to you, sir. Well done. And that's it.
Wow.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, I don't know how many Braden DeVito has so far for his career, but my prediction is that he goes over 100 by the time it's all said and done. I think he's got 42 total right now for his junior season, and probably a long way to go. Of course, he's got the Week 10, and then prediction, bare minimum, 3 playoff games. This team's pretty good, Andy. He's going to get 2 at home.
Yeah, I mean, you think 3 a week next season. That's 30. So, and that's erring on the side of, caution. I mean, he's throwing for 4 or 5 a game. Like, it's doable. He can be number 14.
He has to be at least up there for Mr. Football this year. I thought
Yes.
the winner was in a shootout of this game between Bogpin and DeVito. Whoever came out of that with the unbeaten record was going to be it.
You also got Bernhard.
Yeah, you got Bernhard too. But wow, I think DeVito's got to be up there as at least a candidate to become Mr. Football just by the numbers that he's had, and he's going to be coming back next year.
Yeah, I would love to know too, going into that game tonight, just the kind of chip on the shoulder that he played with tonight, because you go into that game, everyone's talking about the Ohio State commit and all this and that, and Ontario this, and you just go in and not even quietly, but go in and put up 7 touchdowns. Like, that's some moxie right there. You love to see it.
Not like we all picked against him either. Sorry, Braden.
No, not eating my words at all.
At least I said a reasonable over-under of 71.5. That was not crazy, of course.
Hipster Tito had the game as over/under 60.5, and Shelby minus 13.5.
Good God, what have we become as
Shelby
a society?
covered. Shelby covered with the bad. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I do have Monroeville's schedule pulled up real quick if you guys are curious. These are their last several games. 59-0, 49-0, 48-0, 71-0, 41-0, all in a row.
That's impressive.
Just in case St. Paul fans were wondering what it's going to be like when they go over to the Eagles' Nest coming up next Friday.
And like I said for Hillsdale, they're in the same region. They're at the top. I'd want to avoid them until at least the regional championship because of that defense.
Yeah.
I know we've got the big rivalry next week too with Danville and East Knox. I'm going to need East Knox to lose that game. My alma mater, Northwood's sitting at 19, right behind East Knox. If there's any shot, I don't think Northwood's got enough computer points to pull it off at 5-4, and their wins are against not great teams, but they're going to need some help if they're gonna make it. So, yeah, we'll see.
Well, you know who else is going to need some help? The Guardians tomorrow, Andy. So that's why we got to have a Jardy Party, okay?
If
All of
we
us
had
here on
tickets.
set, we got to make it happen. Standing room only. We're bringing the juice. We're getting the dub. We're taking it back to New York, baby, and we're taking what's rightfully ours.
You know what? Even if they don't come back and continue this just incredible run they've been on. I am happy that we will get one more chance to see them. And you know what? Like I've come to peace with what is potentially going to happen. You know, it's been a great run, and I'm not ready to see it end yet. Tonight was hard. I almost drove off the road driving back from Danville on those county roads in the middle of nowhere. Hammy thought John Kenzie Noel just obliterated another one that. I mean, my God, I was like, ah! And it just didn't. It didn't matter.
I actually want us to win because I want to get in the faces of those fake Yankees / Cowboys / Lakers fans and be like, go back to New York. You got to win at home because we ain't letting you do it here.
Yeah, and I mean, this team has shown fight all season, so there's no reason to think that they won't come out tomorrow and win. It was just going to be so hard to top what they did yesterday. I almost wonder if they would have benefited from like a day off. But yeah, I mean, they did. They had their chances, and I mean, the Yankees are good, and their stars are hitting and pitching, and yeah, it's our guys are. You're starting to see the wear and tear of when your starters only give you 2 innings or are only allowed to go 2 innings. It's catching up to them, so it's gonna be tough. But
a story I've never told. Well, I've told you guys, but I haven't told the audience. When I worked with Columbus Clippers this summer, I had a run-in with John Kenzie Noel.
Oh yeah, Papa Christmas.
I did. Well, I didn't talk to him. I almost ran him over with my car.
Dear God,
I forgot about that.
So if
he was
so,
almost
you're
on
welcome
the IR.
everyone for not hitting him and offing him, and he was able to take that big moment for us Guardians fans.
Are you gonna we're gonna get there early enough because we need to find a good spot to stand? Are you gonna be like, hey, I almost hit you with the car, remember?
Yeah, that's true. If we do end up in right field, I'll do it. Okay,
that's what we're gonna aim for.
We salute you, John, for not killing some of our most clutch players. We're going to need more of that, and similar to how Andy's like, I just don't want it to be over. That's kind of how I feel about this very fast-moving 10 weeks of the high school football regular season, but it's starting to heat up. There's a lot of juice, baby. We're almost at playoff time now with football, but we got to get ready for tomorrow, guys. So let's bring it in here for one last time, and then we'll see you. We'll see you on week 10. Get in here, Jory. Come on. I don't know.
The other football she's sporting.
We'll do extend the series on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Extend the series. Hey.
That's it for tonight, though. We'll see you week 10 on the Pigskin back here.
Later.